PowerPoint presentation printed out about why I should be chosen as a youth exchange student. And so just imagine that right now. Like I think back and I'm like, oh my god, that was crazy. But imagine a 14-year-old kid comes into your club and gives you little like points about what it is about Rotary, that she wants to be a Rotary exchange student. And the power that you have in that moment as Rotarians, right? Because that first connection to Rotary is the most important connection about what keeps you coming back, what keeps you there. So what my club said is, wow, that was wonderful, you know, it's really great, you want to be an exchange student. Unfortunately, you can't go yet because you're too young. But how about you keep coming back and next year you can come and be a Rotary exchange student. So, and they acted on that. When they needed to park cars, they called me up. When they needed to do something, they had a cool speaker coming in, they called me up. And they kept engaging me here and there, so that way, when it came time to next year, I would be able to go on this youth exchange. And I had fallen in love with Rotary before I even went on exchange, because of this connection. Because usually as a kid, you're sitting on the side, not on the adults' table, you're at the kids' table. You don't really interact with, you know, if it's family gatherings, all the aunts and uncles are, and the grandparents are on one side, and the kids are all on the other. And I always wanted to talk to my aunts and uncles, but there's just that like different kind of level, right? You don't get past, oh, what are you doing in school, what's going on, or how's your sports going. But at Rotary it was different. People asked me questions about what I wanted to be when I grew up, and what courses I was taking, and who, you know, inspired me these days, like questions I'd never been asked before. And I really realized that people in the club were also doing great things in the community. I mean, you don't realize how cool you are as Rotarians. Like really, you're so cool because you hold the keys to like everything that anyone that's young wants to do. You know, you're the leaders and shakers in your community, you're making things happen, you're involved in your community, and you know what's going on. If you ask a Rotarian about what's going on in the community, they can list at least 10 things that are going on this weekend. You know, because they're engaged, they're there, and that's inspiring for a young person. You really did hold the keys to the world that I wanted to be a part of. But fast forward, I'm in Rotary, I'm an exchange student. And I'm in Germany, and I'm having a really tough day, because I was a big hockey player in Canada. And I couldn't bring my hockey equipment, I just brought my skates. So I bring my skates to Germany with me. They're sitting kind of on the wall, like a decorative, on a shelf, like decorations. And all my friends back home, it's about October, and they're all starting up, and their first games are going on, and I'm really feeling bummed. But when you go to Rotary, you know, training, it's always about, you know, putting on your Rotary smile and talking about all the great things that you do in Rotary. So you can't go up in front of all these cool Rotarians who you like love to death and talk about how, you know, you're really sad. That's not okay. You can't talk about those kinds of things. But I really was sad. I was really upset that I couldn't play hockey, or that I was missing something. And so I went up and I talked to my Rotary club. I gave my week and I said, you know, I've had a great week. This has happened. But you know, I had to put my skates in the closet because I kept looking at them every day, and I got really sad every time I woke up. I really wanted to go skating, play hockey. And I sat down and I said, you know, if you have any other sports, like I know soccer is big here, if there's any other things that you think I should be a part of, let me know, because I'd love to be a part of something equally as cool as hockey in Germany. And I sat down and we went around our Rotary business. And then one of the Rotarians came up to me after and said, hey, do you want to go to a hockey game with me? It's like next weekend. I was like, yeah, sure, like every good student says to every opportunity, yes, sure. And I said, yes, sure, let's go, let's do it. And he said, he picked me up that weekend, and he's like, oh, can you grab your skates as well? I was like, oh, sure. So I ran back upstairs, grabbed my skates, and we went to the hockey. It was about like a 20-minute drive. It kind of felt like how it felt when I was at home with my dad going to different hockey games. So it kind of felt like home. And as we get up there's quite a lot of people in the parking lot, and I'm like, oh, what? You know, who's playing? Like, what game are we playing? I didn't even ask. It could have been Tykes for all I care. Like, Timbits playing hockey, I would have been excited. But I found out that this was the German national hockey team playing. Pretty cool. So then we get in there, and Herr Schulze, the Rotarian that was bringing me, was like waving and like nodding to different people around the room, around the rink, and to the general managers and stuff. And I'm like, that's fishy. He's a Rotarian. Makes sense. Yeah, you guys know everyone. It's awesome. So I didn't really think much more about that. And I went afterwards. The game had ended. I don't even know who won. I forget what happened. And the coach said, "Oh, Christina, you're the Canadian." Yeah, that's me. And he's like, "Do you want to put on your skates and go for a little walk? I'll stop the Zamboni." I was like, "Oh, sure." And so he handed me a hockey stick. because hockey players can't skate without a stick, right? Like we can, it's just not possible. So you have to get a stick to, but in Germany, right-handed and left-handed is opposite. So I was like, oh, no, I need the other hand, just, like broken German didn't say the right stick, but it's actually the opposite. Interesting fact. Anywho, so I'm skating around, I get back to the bench, I throw the puck around a bit, and he's like, oh, Christina, you play hockey pretty good. I was like, yeah, I'm pretty good. Canadian after all, that's part of my identity. And he's like, would you like to play with our team? I was like thinking maybe like his men's league at night or something, I don't know, like what is he talking about? And I was like, oh yeah, I'd love to play, that'd be great. Yeah, we have probably a spot, you can at least practice with us. And him and Herr Schultz would start talking about, getting the rights from Canada to be able to play in Germany and all this stuff that I wasn't quite understanding. And by the end of the conversation, I realized he was asking me to play on the German national hockey team. That was unexpected. But power of Rotary, crazy things happen, right? So yeah, that was me playing. Ended the year with like the most points in the league and like did some great stuff. It was a farm team, so we played against different teams within Germany. It was a really great experience, but pretty cool. So, I mean, that initial investment was key, right? It got me into Rotary, it got me interested, it got me to fall in love with Rotary and understand what Rotary really is and the power of Rotary. I mean, when you do a lot of you guys send youth exchange students in your clubs? Keep doing that. Amazing, amazing thing. I mean, they say that in order to have a habit to be habitual, it takes like 66 days of habitual action to make it a real habit. So you're taking a student who's between the age of 15 and 18, and you're sending them across the world, and you're annihilating them with Rotary-based values. Like, it's impossible at the end of a Rotary exchange to separate yourself from Rotary values. It's just impossible. And that's the power of the exchange, really, it truly is. And you might not know what your youth exchange students are doing now, but I'm a youth exchange student that went back in 2006. I'm no longer in the same province as the club. My club doesn't even exist because they've went away. But I mean, there's a story there, right? And you might not know all the stories about all your exchange students and where they've gone and what they're doing, but I assure you that it has made a huge impact on their lives. So, monitoring and further sales costs. How do you keep a student, a 15-year-old student that's interested in Rotary, to become a Rotarian? How do you do it, right? And we've talked a lot about the tools of ways to do that. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my story. So when I first came back, anthropologist Robert Dunbar has the Dunbar theory. They say you can't have more than 150 friends. A human being can't have more than 150 relationships that they kind of uphold. And I grew up in a really small town between two tiny small towns. So my 150 people were pretty much in like a 10-kilometer radius. And when you go on exchange after that, that number grows. You have more families, you have more friends from all around the world, and you know the impact. You've seen it before. You've seen the students coming back and talking about those. It really is an impact. And when I came back home, I got involved in Interact and then later Rotaract, got involved with RILA, different things. And that wasn't just me coming out and saying, okay, now I want to get into Interact. That was my club saying, hey, you've had this great experience. You're thinking about universities. Have you looked at Rotaract clubs? Because they are in universities, right? There was a mutual, reciprocal kind of relationship going on there. It wasn't one way at all. Not one way from the student and not one way from Rotary. So that's something to keep in mind. The other thing is, Rotarians became my support network as well. So whenever there was something going on in my life, I would talk to Rotarians that I had connected with over the course of the years, whether those were my host families, my Rotary club back home, or the one that I was in on exchange. There's a lot of different types of things that have gone on in my life where I asked people, because you guys are also very successful human beings. You've done great things in your lives. You are, where I want to be one day. So how do I get that knowledge and that excitement? Well, I stay involved with Rotary because one day, I'm almost a lawyer, not quite, but one day I wanted to be a lawyer or a doctor or some kind of a professional. And you go to a Rotary meeting and you see a lot of those people in the room. And all you have to do is go up to them and say, hey, I want to be a lawyer one day, how do I do it, right? And there'll be a conversation, right? Because we love to talk about ourselves, we love to talk about what we've done well, what our successes and our stories. It's one of the things that makes us human. And one of the other things that makes us human is is different types of tragedies that happen in our lives. So when I came back from my exchange, I was 18, and I got diagnosed with thyroid cancer. So pretty big, stage 4, not good, thyroid cancer. And I was starting to look at universities at this point. So not exactly the kind of thing that you're thinking about as a typical grade 12 student. But I had a lot of people that I could connect with thanks to Rotary. So what does that look like? What does that mean? Well, I have friends at school, but you don't want to be, at high school, you never want to be the person that's different, right? You're always trying to blend in and kind of find your fit. So you don't really want to be named, oh, that's the cancer kid, right? No one wants that. And a little bit of that happens naturally in high school. It's just the way that it is. And then with your family, my parents are, they have I have 2 younger siblings. They're worried. They're trying to, be strong for everybody else, but they weren't really in the right space to truly be a support for me either, right? Because they were dealing with emotions the same way that I was. So Rotary became the space that I could kind of go to with different things that were going on in my life. And again, it was reciprocal. It wasn't just me. It was one of the Rotarians saying, hey, Christina, we haven't seen you in a while, what's going on? Or, hey, Christina, blah, 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 come out to a meeting. And I'm like, you know what, I can't. I can't right now because I have thyroid cancer. And it's a simple thing to say to someone who supports you and who's there for you, right? It's not a simple thing to say all the time. And actually a different Rotarian came to visit me once when I was going through it. And she said, I didn't feel as strong as I used to feel. No, I feel weak. I feel like something's gone from inside me. I feel fragile. Something that a high school student usually doesn't feel, right? And she said, let me see your scar. And so I pulled my hair away and I showed her my scar. And she's like, it's funny. Did you think that you could leave this world without the world putting a mark on you? And I was like, guess not. She's like, well, now it's your turn. You get to go put a mark on the world, right? I mean, this is a great opportunity for you to go take the world by the arm and slit it the same way it slit you. A little strange on that one, but yeah, I totally got what she was saying. Harry Potter was the big thing for us, and I don't know if you guys know Nearly Headless Nick. Yeah. Well, I had a thyroid, big slash, so that was kind of like my nickname among my friends and family, which is really kind of funny, but at the same time, yeah. I haven't told that story to a group of people in a while, so anywho. It was motivating, that's the point. It was motivating, it was inspiring, and it got me through to think about things from a different perspective. Someone outside of my family that was looking out for me, and that was important, and that was helpful. And that kept me in Rotary. So where are we now? Where does, there's obviously been a lot of back and forth there. I went on exchange, I had great opportunities, Rotary opened the door for me in a lot of different ways, and I kept coming back to Rotary. So when the opportunity came, my thyroid cancer was gone, I was in my 3rd year of university, and I really wanted to give back. And I really wanted to do something different. And I had this great international experience in high school, and I really wanted to internationalize my undergrad degree as well. So I looked at different organizations that I could help, and I wanted to do more than just go somewhere for a couple weeks, build a house, do a little sightseeing tour, and come back. I wanted to do a little bit more than that. So I started reaching out to organizations, and I found one called Save the Mothers, and they teach a Master's of Public Health Leadership at a university in Uganda. And I was thinking about doing my Master's in Public Health, so it was a good fit. And I needed an administrator, someone to do the paperwork. So I signed up. I said, yeah, I'll do it. 3 to 4 months in Uganda sounds great to me. And I went to Uganda. But I went, and Rotary was behind me. They gave me a little bit of money to make sure I could pay for my flight and things like that. And I kind of went with the same ideas that I had on youth exchange. And some of those were really helpful and great, and some of them made me extremely naive. Some of those things that made it great was being able to be adaptable and understand new cultures and new families and new Rotarians and new things, new language. But part of it also made me feel like this was going to be a great exchange sort of thing, and I was going to travel and see things and kind of go to school and just be kind of a Ugandan for a while. Which, being a German exchange student and being a Ugandan person working is a different thing. And so I had a couple of not so great experiences. And the first one was the first birth that I saw. So one of the things that I did when I was there is I taught a couple of classes. And I would look through the textbook, pull up slides that someone else had made, and teach them. So some of the slides said things like, 16 women die every day in Uganda, and maternal health morbidity, it needs to go down. So big things. But I would say them in class, and I could see the people in the class really shuddering at those statements. And that was because they understood what that meant. They'd met one of those 16 women that had died at some point in their lives due to childbirth-related complications. And I didn't get it, because I was just this Canadian student that, read it from a textbook or read it from a slide. And I didn't really truly understand what it meant to lose a mother in childbirth. So I asked if I could go to the hospitals. And one of the Rotarians in the club that I was just joined, because when I was there, he was a doctor at one of the local hospitals, and he said, why don't you come with me, sorry, he was the administrator, why don't you come with me and go see one of the hospitals? So I went, and he basically dropped me off at the maternity ward, and I never saw him again until the Rotary meeting. But, so great pre-training for someone who has no actual skills of any sort related to healthcare at all. And so they said, okay, Christina, come, come see a tour, great, what do you want to do? Can you give these IVs? No, again, no skilled labor at all here at all. And I just want to shadow, I just want to watch. They're like, okay, so can you, check blood pressures? And this is like not the machine that tells you the number, you just write it down. It's like the one where you have to use the stethoscope and blood pressure is a big deal. It's one of the ways that women pass away or lose their children. So again, not something that I felt comfortable doing. So they're like, okay, well, how about you count out these anti-malaria pills and give them to the line of women? I'm like, do they know how to use the pills? Yes, they've used them before. Just give them another month's worth. Perfect, I can do that. So that's what I was doing for 2 days. And for 2 days I helped, and I felt like I was giving value. And I was seeing some of the mothers and some of the people I talked to about, how they felt about giving birth, and I just had a good experience talking about them. Until one day, one of the midwives came into the room I was working in and said, Christina, we need your help in the delivery room. And at this point, I still hadn't been to the delivery room. I'd never seen a birth before. I know that apparently in high school they show you a video at some point. I missed that day. Not that it would have helped me, but I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And so I followed her. It seemed like there was something going on and she needed my help. So I said, sure, I'll come. Maybe they need me to hold something. The lights had gone up at that point, so maybe they needed someone to hold a light. That was whatever I could do, I would help. So I got in there and she gave me a pair of gloves. And the closer I got into the room, the more blood I started to see. And the more I realized that A, I was going to pass out if I didn't focus on something different than the blood, and B, what do they want me to do? What's going on? What's happening with this woman? Alice was the woman on the delivery bed, and she was hemorrhaging. And as I walked into the room, there were about 6 people in the room at the time. They all looked at me, and I looked at them, and we looked at Alice, and we looked at each other again, looking for a solution, looking for an idea. They brought me in there thinking maybe I knew something that they didn't know. Maybe there was something that I could do to help this woman. And Alice passed away in front of me that day. And as I watched the light leave her eyes, my heart shattered into a million pieces. It's still hard for me to tell that story without breaking down and being emotional. And it's still a raw feeling for me inside. And when I left the hospital room, I went outside and I just some fresh air, and I got really, really angry. I was angry at myself. Why on earth did I put myself in this position? Why did I think I could help? Like, what is this girl from Canada going to do with no skills, no supplies, no education, nothing? Like, what is she going to do in a place where women are actually dying of childbirth? What was I thinking? And 2, how is it possible that this happens? 16 women die every day like Alice. Every day. 15 other people were going to go through the same thing Alice was going through. And then you compare that to somewhere like Canada, 16 women die a year. And it's broadcasted on the news, we all hear about it, and it's a tragedy. And not that Alice's wasn't a tragedy, but no one will hear her story. No one will know what happened to her, just like all the other people that day in Uganda. And that irked me. That pissed me right off. And I didn't know what to do. Because on youth exchange, we always have 2 options, right? You can go home, it's always an option. or you can figure out a way to get past the homesickness. And I use those skills and those same things that I learned on my youth exchange to say, all right, I have a choice here. I can go home because this is a crappy situation, or I can find a way to deal with it because I'm still here for the next 3.5 months. What can I do? So I became a learner. I learned everything there was to know that I could find about maternal health in Uganda. I worked in the hospitals. I worked outside the hospitals. I worked at the university, and I worked and worked and worked. And I got people involved and strategized on what could possibly happen. Because when I go back to Canada and I tell the Rotarians what a wonderful, thank you so much for your contribution. This is what for my flight. This is what I did. I want to have an answer about what happened there. Because they're going to ask me, right? You're going to ask me, so what are you doing next? And if I don't have an answer for that, if I don't know in my heart of hearts what I'm going to do next with the situation, then this whole experience was pointless, right? There has to be a next. There has to be a reason why. And so I went back home and I talked about my experience, and Rotarians were asking me, all right, so what are you going to do now? And I asked them, I said I didn't know. I said, I don't know, I feel broken. My heart is literally shattered into a million pieces. I don't even know how to put it back together. And Rotary helped me again, and they said, all right, some Rotarian said, all right, I think you should talk to this person. Go for coffee with this person. This person said, go for coffee with that person. That person said, go for coffee. And I had a lot of coffees. I didn't even drink coffee. But maybe I had tea, I don't know. But anyways, it's irrelevant. The point is that I had a lot of meetings with a lot of people. Because when you're a Rotarian, you're not just one single person. You are the accumulation of all the people in the room. You're the accumulation of all the people in Rotary. And that's a huge, powerful thing. And I think sometimes we forget that, right? They're our friends, they're people that we work with, but we forget how powerful we are as a group and as a community and how much impact we can have. And one of the things that we started was Full Soul Canada. So Full Soul is an organization that equips hospitals in developing countries with maternal kits for medical deliveries, all locally sourced, locally run, local everything. We don't fill the gaps, we enable the people in the hospitals to fill their own gaps. That's what we do. And when we first started out in 2013 or 2014, I have a TED Talk too if you want to hear a little bit more about it, you can look that up. We started 2014, and they say in business, my husband is in business, so he tells me all these business things. All the time. Way too much sometimes. Is he here? No, I said this to his face, it's okay. But no, he's always saying it takes 5 years. When you invest something, it takes 5 years. He's a past financial planner. He just last week switched to what he calls the dark side, aka nonprofit. He's the CEO of Immigrant Services Calgary now. And that was also a Rotary connection. Crazy. But now that before he did that, he was in banking, and he tells the financial plan. So 5 years, you put your investment in, and at least 5 years is kind of like your target area. And that's where you're going to start to see that return on investment. So 5 years later, Full Soul has delivered 65,000 babies more safely, and become so successful in Uganda where we're having hospitals asking us if they can be part of the next phase. We currently have 2 global grants in the works. These are our first ones we're doing. The first one is about 67 US. That came from 5,000. Again, power of Rotary. There's no other place that math makes sense except for in Rotary. And then I'm a lawyer, so my math's not good, but that's definitely some pretty cool math. And then the next one is a $20,000 investment, which will turn into $250,000 or $300,000, right? Which is again crazy math, but only in Rotary can you do that math. And again, this is something where Rotary helped me to start Full Soul, and that I've worked on it, and Rotary's helped to support Full Soul. And just this last, the reason I'm here today is because I was honored with as one of 6 people in Rotary to go to the United Nations and to accept an award. And that sounds really nice, and it's really hard for me to say because it's hard for me to attribute any success to myself because it wasn't me that did it, right? It was everyone else. It was Rotary people that put me in the position to be successful. Right? And that's what the success is. And I think that's a reason why it's hard for me to say that I went up there and accepted this award with my name on it, because there's so many people behind that. But that is what happened, and I went to, my district governor came to our meeting with the news. Actually, just like, so you know, district governors are crazy people, right? Like every time you get a call, they are. Every time you get a call from a district governor, this is what it's gonna be like. Something crazy, we need your help, let's do this, let's go, energy crazy. Like, have you ever had a normal call from a district governor? I haven't. I'm sorry, but it's true, guys. It's like always something crazy going on, and it's always something awesome, and you always want to be a part of it. Somehow you hang up, and it's like, okay, what did I just sign up for? And it's great stuff, right? It always turns out wonderful, but I got this call from my district governor, and he's like, oh my God, Christina, you'll never guess what's happening. Did you see your email? Oh my goodness, wow. I have no idea, 3 minutes, voicemail. I have no idea what's going on. So I check my email, and I get this email that I've received this 1 in 6 award. And I was like, holy crap. What does that mean? Like, that's huge, right? That's crazy. And this is we had to miss the top 40 under 40 event because I had to go to Kenya to accept this award. And when I took a long time for me to get that in my head. And when I went to the next Rotary meeting, Dan, our district governor, was there, and he said, guys, I have some news. Christina, please come up to the front. And at this point, this news is like embargoed. Like, no one's allowed to know this news. Like, my parents don't even know this news yet. And Dan is coming to bring me up, and I'm like, okay, that's definitely not what he's talking about. It must be something else. So I go up there, you know, hi Dan, what's up? And he says, guys, we have 1 of 6. And I was like, oh my God. And he's telling everyone in my club, he's like, all right, we're going to do the 4-way test, and we're going to pledge that no one tells any of this news when they leave this room. And I'm like, it's crazy. District governor is crazy. I'm telling you. Anyway, so he does all of this, and when you look at the pictures of the Rotarians, some Rotarians have pictures, and when you look at the pictures, my head is like, I'm in the back, and my head is sort of down, and you can't even see my face because all you see is like a part on the top of my head. Because I wasn't ready for him to share that news with everyone. I wasn't ready. I still felt like a fraud. And I told one of the Rotarian ladies in my club, and she's like, you know, Christina, how do you feel about this award? You know, she called me out on it right away, and I said, you know what, Leslie, I feel like a fraud. Like, how is it possible that Full Soul or me or how is it possible 1 in 6? Like, the only one in North America, the only one in, you know, in this area. Like, obviously there are people doing way better things than this. You know, they made a mistake. And she's like, you know what, Christina, I have someone that you need to see, because I think you have imposter syndrome. I was like, she's not a psychologist, but, you know, she did the trick. She's like, I've been there before. I know what you're going through. Let me connect you with someone. And I got connected with a psychologist in the university because it's free. It was wonderful. Otherwise, I would have thought twice. And I just sort of talked it out. I talked it through. And because at the end of the day, I wanted to go to Kenya, and I wanted to stand up at the United Nations and give my address without people seeing the top of my head. You know, I wanted to be able to stand up there and be proud and share Alice's story, to share why Full Soul happened. Because it is, sure, I'm standing up there, but it's something that we can all attribute our successes, like the Rotary success, from. And I needed to get my head around that. I also had this feeling that the other 6 people were like, 5 people, were like superhuman people. Like that they were like next level, out of this world, like crazy humans. And another Rotarian, wise words, said, you know what, superheroes don't exist. They only exist until you're 8. And then you realize, and then your parents, and then you realize that we're all just human at the end of the day. And we all are not, or no one is a superhero. And we all are just human. And that gave me a little bit of help with figuring that out as well. So I got to go to the United Nations. I got to hold my head up high, and I got to share Alice's story in front of 1,000 people, or I don't know how many, the delegate at the UN. Also, the first time in Rotary that there have been people, that there were over 50% of the people in the room were under the age of 35. Pretty cool. Yeah. So lots of great stuff going on, and a lot of great return on investment. You know, that's the key point here. Return on investment. I have a return. Rotary has a return. You know, there's a mutual sort of connection and relationship and reciprocity that exists there. And we have to find that. And it's different for everyone. Everyone is going to do the same things. But there always is going to be some sort of reciprocity from Rotary to Rotary, Rotary members to stay in Rotary, and we have to find that. We have to find that ourselves. I mean, there's some due diligence you have to do on your own to find that, but we also as a club have to create that environment where we feel like, you know, we have to keep people interested and keep that reciprocal relationship going. And if it's not reciprocal anymore, we need to change it. We need to find a different way. Membership changes, people change, we need to change those things as well. So that's everything I have for you today. But I will end if you guys want to hear a Ugandan, or learn a Ugandan word.
Yeah, sure.
Yes? Okay. So at the count of 3, I need everyone to say the word syndica, okay? Syndica, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Syndica.
Good. So it was not bad, but I think we can get a little more oomph. I know it's the end of the long thing, but I think we need some oomph. So we're gonna try it again, okay? 1, 2, 3.
Syndica.
Yes, wow, that was great. Someone back there, a couple back there were real loud. I can hear it real well. Anyways, syndica, what does it mean? What have you been yelling? So this is actually a word that is whispered and yelled in the hospitals in Uganda. Syndica means push. So when I was helping a woman to deliver, I would watch as the contractions moved up and down her rib cage, and I would yell 1, 2, 3, syndica, and we would both push together. I want to encourage each and every one of you today that when you leave these doors that you're pushing, that you're syndica. Syndica forward to bring these tools into your clubs. Syndica forward to get more youth exchange students in your clubs. Get more youth in general, find those millennials and find a way to bring them in, because there's a lot of power there. And I want to push you guys all to do those things. So syndica.
Very good.
Wow. Is everyone else feeling the wow right now? Christina, you have traveled a journey and experienced beyond what most people would do in 90 and 100 years. You have changed the world. You have connected and changed, and my heart right now is overwhelmed with your story. How does everyone else feel? Yeah. Brené Brown, author, speaks a lot about being bold and being courageous. You are that person. You're bold, you're courageous, and nothing stops you. We're proud, so proud to have you in our Rotary family and for being part of us today. When I reached out to our district governor-elect Christine in 5360, and I told her what I would like to have for a message at the end of our session, she said immediately, "I have the girl for you." Thank you so much. And we are all going to continue to Syndica. Yes. Thank you for coming and enjoying our assembly, and thank you for pushing our team and our leaders to do more. And we're following your footsteps. We're going to follow your path, and we're your cheerleaders. And whatever you need from 5370 or anyone in this area, you just call. Wow.
Call the crazy DG.
I was going to mention that. There is truth to the story. The other DGs in the room, Ingrid, yes, we like to be crazy, but you also acknowledged that when the crazy DG calls, you just say yes and do it. It's usually pretty awesome. Yes, and so thank you for that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I couldn't have, can't say anything better than what Christina said. I'll be truthful. My heart today is so happy for all of you, your leadership, your passion, your inspiration. And I'm going to say to you what Christina has demonstrated to us. Be bold. Be courageous. Talk crazy ideas. Say yes to crazy ideas. And look at opportunities. We have possibilities, we have opportunities, And as you heard from Christina's story, Rotary truly connects the world. And with that connection, the world is changed. Wow. So as you go forward, hold Christina's story, and at times when we get stressed, when we get a little bit overwhelmed, let's remember what Christina has ventured through and what she's been able to accomplish as well. So thank you again to each of you. We will be seeing you again throughout the year. We have the awards evening that's coming up at the end of June. We also, don't leave yet, Rainy, don't leave. We also, that was a crazy DG Eats thing. We also will see you at the conference in Grand Prairie, the People of Action Conference. But this event wouldn't be what it is without the support of a team. I'd like to acknowledge Donna Barrett. Donna, thank you for your leadership in leading our Learning and Development Committee. Our District Governor, Ingrid, for your passion, your leadership, and your commitment. And I'd also like to thank our office manager, Rainey. Rainey, you are always there for us. You ensured all the logisticals and all the other pieces were there, and you never say no. You're like when the crazy DG calls.
I'm used to the crazy DG.
But we appreciate you. We wouldn't be here. So, safe travels home, everyone, and we're honored to serve with you. We look forward to seeing you again soon. All the best.